Can I ask folks to please take a seat? Welcome, everyone, to a beautiful Friday morning in Washington. Morning, folks. My name's Tom Murray. I'm an Executive Vice President for Solutions at Environmental Defense Fund and thrilled to be here with all of you this morning. EDF, as I hope you guys know, is a global nonprofit organization tackling climate change. And we're working with a number of partners, including many in the room today, to design and implement bold, game-changing solutions that build a vital future for everybody. In my role at EDF, I'm really focused on making sure that our core capabilities of science, economics, partnerships with the private sector, and our work on justice and equity serve as the core foundation for the organization's global goals, strategies, and impact in the world. In addition to my day job at EDF, I'm also very proud to serve as an advisory board member for American University's Center for Environmental Policy at the School of Public Affairs. So today, thanks so much for all of you being with us for the second and final day of this look at both the challenges and hopefully lots of opportunities at the intersection of climate change and insurance. I want to give a very big thanks to our co-hosts at American University and SBP. We're grateful to have collaborated with all of you on this event, and we're very hopeful that these partnerships can continue. I also want to thank our generous sponsors and the National Science Foundation for helping to make this event possible. Now, the folks in this room already know, but I'm going to say it anyways. It's impossible to follow the news today and not know how timely and consequential this conversation about climate risk and insurance is to people's lives across the country and around the world. At EDF, thanks to my great colleague Carolyn Kuski, we are working on a wide range of projects at the intersection of insurance and climate risk, resilience, adaptation, equitable adaptation, and accelerating the clean energy transition. A couple quick examples, hopefully to inspire conversation or follow up after this meeting. We've got policy teams who are working on improving resilience at the household scale, including fortified building and more effective floodplain buyouts. At the community scale, by engaging the Corps of Engineers on projects in New York City or promoting greater conservation of wetlands for flood control and other nature-based solutions. We have teams thinking about how insurance can improve incentives for climate-smart agriculture and the role insurance plays in buffering the financial impact from global climate disasters in the global south. Our research, our policy experts, our political experts are working to build connections with community organizations and other partners in places where people are really struggling to find insurance they can afford or even to find insurance at all. In Louisiana, for instance, our coastal resilience team has been deeply engaged in how they can support partners in developing solutions that work for everyone in the state. And I think you may hear more about that work today. And finally, our business transformation team has launched new partnerships with insurance firms, helping them think about how they can manage climate risk and support the energy transition. One example is our work with Chubb to inform and build out a methane resource hub to help their energy clients lower their emissions, their methane emissions in the very near term. Like all of you, we are eager to learn from this event, to build new partnerships, and to help create a strong community of practice to work together, to share insights, and to help design solutions that we need with increasing urgency. Now, despite the challenges we face, we're optimistic at EDF that the right mix of leadership, investment, innovation, and collaboration has put urgent climate action and solutions within our reach, and by doing that, lowering the risks of climate extremes. So thank you all for being part of this event today, for the work that you are doing on this very difficult but urgent challenge. My EDF colleagues and I look forward to continuing the conversations that started this event and working with you to build solutions that work for everyone. With that, I'd like to turn it over to Professor David Hunter from American University's Washington College of Law. Thank you for hosting all of us this week.
Thank you. I'm going to remain seated if that's okay with everyone, if you can hear me and see me, sorry, over there in the corner. Well, welcome and good morning. No, at the law school, we'd like a little more energy. Good morning. All right, thank you. I'm not Professor Snape, who's on the chart. Professor Snape couldn't be here this morning. He was off chasing Dementors. That's a Harry Potter reference for those who don't know. He doesn't like the reference, Professor Snape, because he's unequivocally a good person. I actually was very happy to fill in. In fact, I kind of insisted on it because I think this topic is so interesting and so important, as was just mentioned, but by the headlines every day, we recognize how important dealing with the risk is. But I first addressed the insurance industry 30 years ago as a climate advocate, and the industry was the only industry sector, or the first industry sector that became an ally just by the force of what the industry was facing. And it was the one sector you could count on not to be uncertain about the science or to try to equivocate about the science. The science was vital to the insurance industry, understanding what their baselines were going to do and how it was going to change. So we quickly recognized the renewable energy industry was so tiny and microscopic that as an ally with some clout, it didn't provide that. But the insurance industry, Swiss Re, Zurich, I remember speaking with them in international negotiations back in 1990, 91, 93. And it was really important for the development of climate advocacy and the strategies. What we didn't recognize then, or at least I didn't recognize at the Center for International Environmental Law, I think EDF may have recognized this, was that how soon the insurance industry would be important for the solutions and for addressing the issues of risk and mitigation, or risk and adaptation and resilience. I saw it sort of as an alignment of interests, convenience, and only later would I realize it was also an alliance that could innovate and could think about together about the very real needs of communities around the world. And I think that's changed or intensified even more so now as we're facing the loss and damages discussion in the international arena, or just simply when we pick up the newspaper and see all the impact that's happening on communities. And I often say when I teach international business and the environment about risk, that in a business deal, every stakeholder has a way of dealing with risk through contract. The banks, the corporations, but not the communities. They're the people, they don't really have a way of dealing with risk. And within the idea of project finance and things like that, they're left out of all the contracts. But if there is an opportunity for them to deal with risk and to spread risk, it's through the insurance industry and through private innovation and thinking about that. So even beyond the climate realm, it's very relevant and very important for the work that I do in global communities around the world. But as we face the enormous amount of damages and the scale of the challenge and the immediacy of it, which is what we predicted 30 years ago, we're right on schedule. On the impact, we're not really on schedule with the policy response. We recognize how much innovation, both in public policy and in products, we need from the insurance industry. So that's why I'm so pleased that we could help by hosting this conference here, giving you the physical layout. The true hosts, the School of Public Policy and EDF and SPP, they deserve the credit. But I do want to give a shout out to the conference staff here. Courtney and her team are fantastic, and I hope you thank them when you see them. Finally, it's my, I have the whole podium. I could sit up here as a lecturer for 45 minutes. No, but I'm going to stick to my time, and I'm going to introduce, be thankful that you're all here, and introduce Zach Rosenberg from SBP, one of the hosts, and also, I understand, an alumnus of this institution?
Correct.
Well,
With honors.
With honors. I wasn't your professor, though. Or what?
No.
No. Well, I'm surprised we allowed you to graduate without that. Welcome. Sir.
Thanks. How's everybody? Great. My name is Zach Rosenberg. I'm the co-founder and CEO of SBP. Before I kick us off for today, if everyone could stand and give a rousing round of applause to Carolyn and Helen and all the folks who have invested. To bring all of you here today. This, you've exceeded any hopes or expectations, and I really want to congratulate you. I know this took a ton of work, so kudos. There's been a lot of great information. I want to call out two themes real quick. One yesterday was Francis Bouchard's remark that the problem is so big we need system solution. We need project-based work, but we've got to overhaul the system, and everyone has a role in doing that. I'm going to talk a little bit about maybe the mindset that requires and what it requires as each of us as leaders. At SBP, we have core values, and one of them is constructive discontent. We always want to be hearable, but we can never be satisfied. And that's based on Frederick Douglass's notion of where there is no struggle, there is no progress. We're in an industry, you're in an industry that requires progress. We're facing an existential threat here, certainly economically, but socially, culturally, and really for people's existence. So we've got to be willing to struggle. And so I encourage all of you to think about what are the sacred cows that need to be addressed? What are the perceived immovable objects that we know we have to get through? Susan, the Harvard professor yesterday, sort of jocularly said, with a compliant Congress. And everyone laughed because we see that as impossible. Well, if we really see that as impossible, we're screwed. And so what we have to do is find a way to eliminate barriers, to have those extraordinarily tough conversations, to get information from the grassroots, from people, because that's who really matters. We've got to ensure an equitable recovery. But we've got to find a way to have the conversations at the top as well. And significant things have to change. And we're the ones and you're the ones who are going to have to do it. I'm going to talk about today briefly, and then I'm honored to introduce a woman who has done just that, who has made the necessary possible and who's made the possible a reality. But before I do that, I'd like to speak just briefly about today's agenda. First, well, after we hear from Marion, there's going to be a global perspective on in an international roundtable and a discussion on escalating climate risk in the insurance market. You guys are going to hear from an incredibly dynamic speaker, Roy Wright from IBHS, who leads the team over there who's doing incredible game-changing work. I spoke with the woman who runs the FAIR Plan for North Carolina. I don't know where you are, but she's a courageous leader. She just launched a $20 million roof pilot program and is going to triple that to $60 million to put on resilient IBHS certified roofs throughout North Carolina. This is terrific leadership at Smart Business as well. So you're going to hear from Roy and be inspired.